Hello there, and today we're doing EFL Championship predictions for the final day of the 2020 to 21 season. And we're going to go through my Gaffer.io fantasy team. The game's, of course, kicking off all at 12:30 tomorrow. And yes, this is it, folks. This is it. The final day of the championship. What can get confirmed on the final day? We'll go through all those permutations. We'll do a little table calculator. And by that I mean look at my predictions and kind of see how the table would end up after those predictions, hopefully, are bang on. So, yeah, there's quite a few games this week and some interesting games, certainly, to feast your eyes upon. So, yeah, let's first of all, before we do anything, say what the song of the week and the theme of the week is. So, the song of the week this week, it's got to be, hasn't it? It's the final day. It's the final countdown. Do 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 do. Now, I'll be honest, I don't know who sings that, so I shall put that in the description and give it a listen. It is a bit of a tune, to be fair. Bit of a tune to beget, that one. No, but in terms of the theme of the week, I'm going to feel a little bit of the film that is called Groundhog Day. That's right. It is a very decent film. If you haven't already watched it, I recommend you check it out. But what, my friends, is the colour of the week? It is going to be red. And let's get into my initial predictions. And let's first of all look back at basically what was a pretty awful week for predictions in the championship last week. You just don't like to see it, and you just want to avoid it basically. But what happened was it just all went wrong. We didn't get our correct score. I don't know what happened. So Birmingham Cardiff, we went with a 2-0. It was 3 points, at least the result. Brentford Watford, you know, we're always optimistic. We went with a Watford win, 1-0 win, but no, it was a 2-0 win for Brentford, making it worse than in reality. Millwall, Bristol City, we thought that was going to be a nothing game, you know. Both teams not really got much to play for. It would probably be a dull 1-1 draw or a 0-0 or something like that. And what actually ends up happening? Well, Millwall decided to just turn out and play a really good game, beat Bristol City 4-1. So no points there for me. We said a 2-1 Huddersfield win over Coventry. And what happened? Of course, it was a draw, so no points. Luton, Middlesbrough. Now, the Luton game, I'm not being funny. I think a lot of people would have predicted that game to be a Middlesbrough win because Middlesbrough have actually been quite good this season. I mean, I know it's quite similar in the table, I guess. But, yeah, I did not see that coming, to be honest. I thought that game would see a decent opportunity for Huddersfield to win. But fair enough, 3-0 was what I predicted. Instead, though, between Luton and Middlesbrough, it did, of course, end at Kenilworth Road, 1-1 between the sides, with goals from Glenn Ray and Duncan Watmore. I tell you what, Duncan Watmore is really shining at Middlesbrough after his move, controversially, from Sunderland, of course. So no points there, once again for me. This is not looking good, people. Norwich Reading. Now, there's a bit of Watford bias going into this one because we wanted Norwich to drop points in the hope of this slight, tiny glimmer. We may be still in the title race, but it was so small. And basically, for that to happen, we needed Norwich to drop some points along the way. Ideally, get 1 point at their final two, and maybe that would be the game. So I went with the 2-2 draw, but Norwich, fair enough. They blew Reading to shreds. They blew them to smithereens and grabbed that title. Fair enough, you know, they've deserved it. They've had a great squad this season, a great first 11, you'd say. But Watford obviously taking that second automatic spot. That was all we needed. We've had our, you know, problems this season, but Norwich have actually been pretty consistent. Apart from that little run, you know, midway through the season where they couldn't get, you know, results and they were knocked out in the FA Cup with Barnsley. But no, since then, they really have never looked back. So fair play to them. Both those sides in the Premier League next season. And they should both be very capable of making some interesting wins. So, yeah, fair enough. That was an incorrect prediction from me. Preston against Barnsley. Again, on paper, just like that Middlesbrough game, you thought, surely it's going to be a Barnsley win. But the Championship, unfortunately, for some teams, is not played on paper. And, you just got to give credit to Preston. They actually went out in a game that they could have easily just not bothered in, really. Not much to play for. But no, they carry on their winning run, third on the bounce, and a very good victory over Barnsley, who, yeah, they've got playoffs, but they want to finish as high as possible to try and get an easier draw. But, yeah, goals from Jordan Storey, the centre-back, and also Ched Evans was enough to beat Barnsley. And, yeah, a little bit of a surprise there. Then Rotherham against Blackburn. I think a lot of people backed the Blackburn win, but it didn't come. And I backed a 1-0 Blackburn, and it was going to look so perfect if it wasn't for the last 5 minutes of the game and Rotherham snatched a late point. But is it enough? Is it too little too late? I really don't know at this point. The goal came from Lewis Wing on the 86th minute. Rotherham still look in trouble. They did play their game in hand on Tuesday against Luton, but they didn't make the most of it. 0-0 draw. Very, very boring stuff. And we went with a 2-0 Luton. So, once again, getting Rotherham's game wrong there. But on to slightly more positive note, Sheffield Wednesday Forest, we went with a draw in that game. And it was a 1-1 draw is what we predicted. Instead, of course, it finished at the Sheffield Wednesday Stadium. I mean, it was a fairly uneventful game. So, I guess you would have predicted it to be 0-0, but I just thought that Sheffield Wednesday would be too leaky and Forest might be too threatening. But no, neither side did anything, and no goals there. We'll take the correct goal difference. Stoke QPR, again, we back Stoke because usually they're quite good at home, but no, they were honestly very awful, and QPR, they just took their chances. Charlie Austin, he does like to score at this level, and he's done it again, fair enough. Osman Kakai getting the other one. And yes, QPR have had a fairly up and down season, but they'll take mid-table. They'll take in the top 10. And if they can get that, which looking like a possibility unless, Millwall and Luton come screaming back, then yeah, not a bad season for QPR, but they just need to push on next season. And then, of course, we had the game between Swansea and Derby. Finally, something here for my predictions. I went with a 2-0 Swansea win, and fair enough, Swansea did the job. Only just, though. Only just, because they had to come from behind, and we thought that it'd be another nightmare for Derby because, they need the points. And it was a nightmare because they couldn't get any points. And 2 goals in the space of 3 minutes. That's a great reply for Swansea. It is too little too late, obviously, to get what they need, what they wanted, that automatic promotion. But they can still get the playoffs. They've, at least confirmed that. It's just about, like with Barnsley, where do they finish in terms of position? But Morgan Whittaker, a very young star, seems to be doing fairly well. And Connor Roberts is basically a midfielder at this point. How he's a defender, I don't know, because he scores week in, week out. But yeah, decent win for Swansea, and 3 points for us. We at least got the goal difference. And finally, we end on Wycombe against Bournemouth. Again, this week, it's so typical. You predict Bournemouth, you think it's surely going to be a Bournemouth win because Wycombe are in relegation problems. But no, Wycombe do the unthinkable, get the win, thanks to Uche Ikpeazu. Now, I say that, it is still very unlikely. So, the win was, useful for Wycombe, but it's still, very unlikely. They're on 40 points, and their goal difference is so condemning. They need to win 13-0 on the final day of the season and hope other results go their way. So, I think we can say Wycombe are in the League One next season. But anyway, let's move into this week and let's start predicting this week. And don't forget, at the end of the video, we'll catch up on our Gaffer.io fantasy team, which has just not been firing recently, and we need to freshen things up for the final day of the season. But let's get into week 46 then, shall we? It's the final day. Let's see some drama. And I'm currently on an overall points total for this season in the predictions of 1,020. So don't mind that at all. After 45 weeks, let's see if we can get past that 1,050 mark for this game week. So the first game to predict then is going to be between the teams of Watford and Swansea City. It has to be first because this could have been a game later on in the season, if we'd have looked at it earlier on in the season, that could have meant everything. But luckily for Watford, or, well done for Watford for getting it done early. And this game, luckily, doesn't have to have the pressure surrounding it. And it is obviously a game that could be, tightly contested. At the end of the day, Swansea away from home actually play better than at home, it seems. And Watford, they've been an absolute legendary team at home this season. Such a good record. And that's been, part of their success this season. So for us, I think it would be lovely to end the season on a high. It's been a great season. Certainly one we will look back at with fond memories. Obviously, without fans, it's been a very different season, but we've made it work, and just the club has pulled together in tough times. We've had to bounce back from that disappointing relegation and really have shown the character. And Xisco Munoz, since he's come in, has just been absolutely brilliant. So, yeah, you really can't ask for more than that from the lads, and let's hope we can end it on a high. So Brentford against Watford was not good, and the performance was really not up to scratch, but you can understand we just had our celebrations and we had nothing to play for. It's just pride we're playing for here, and let's see if we can carry on our really good home form. But yeah, I'd love to see us get the 3 points, and I think this is the kind of game hopefully we can kind of show our credentials going into next season for the Premier League. And it's a chance to give some other players, some fringe players, an opportunity. But we know, regardless of personnel, we have been very, very consistent and very, very good at winning this season. So I'll go for Swansea City to lose this one by 2-1. So Watford 2, Swansea 1. And the first goal of the game, I think, will come from Ismail Assar. I think he might be all right to return from his injury. And it will be a ferocious volley to get us the lead. And then the second goal will be coming from ex-Swansea player, in my opinion, Ben Wilmot. Absolute scenes, shushing the Swansea fans. No, but genuinely, I think he will get a goal. A glancing header, might be given the chance in defence with the likes of Sierrauta and, Troost-Ekong putting in amazing shifts this season. And that would be a nice little goal against his old club. But then Swansea score a consolation goal through Liam Cullen, but it will not be enough to affect the result, and it ends 2-1, the final curtain of 2020-21. As I said, a strange season without fans, but a great one nonetheless. Come on, you Warns, let's try and end it on a high. Okay, in terms of minutes for those goals, by the way, the first one from Sarr, I reckon, will come on the 12th minute, very early on. We do that a lot this season, scoring the first 15 minutes. Don't forget, it's a 12:30 kickoff. All of these games are. So don't get caught out by the early game. And then the goal for Wilmot, I think, will come in the second half from the 73rd minute. And then the consolation for Cullen will say 90 plus 2. All right, now let's move on to the matchup between the teams of... Where is it? We're just trying to find it now. Yeah, we might need to just get it up for a second, people. Okay, why is it malfunctioning then? No, the first game was done. Second game, Birmingham away to Blackburn. Well, this is interesting. It sees the team sitting in 15th against the team in 18th. Now, both sides are safe. How much of that will be on show, basically? Are these sides going to just express themselves, have a bit of fun? Maybe. But I do still feel this might be a tight game at Ewood Park. So we'll back Blackburn as the home team. I think they have got the better squad, and they've had a lot of problems this season, but they've just about recovered, and they've got some good signings, the likes of Harvey Elliott. So I'll go with a Blackburn win, and we'll say Blackburn Rovers 1, Birmingham 0. And the only goal of the game for the Rovers, let's say it's coming from the midfielder who scored in the game versus Derby County. That is Kieran Dowell. Okay, Kieran Dowell to get their final goal. That's for Norwich, though. So why am I saying that then? Okay, right, no. The midfielder, for Blackburn to get the winner is going to be Rothwell. 1-0 to Rovers. All right, now it's the game between Bristol City and Brentford. Now, this game is actually going to be a bit tighter, in my opinion. Brentford still know they want to win games and they want to end the season on a high. Their win last time was fairly decent. The goal from Tony, his 30th, I think, in the league this season, from the spot. He put it away with great conviction. And Bristol City have been awful, really, this season. And it's taken a late, push from the side under Nigel Pearson to kind of do enough to stay up. But under Pearson, they haven't been brilliant, and they are going to stay up. But it just has been a bit of a whimper at the end of the season. 3 defeats in a row. Can they stop that rot to end the season? Well, I don't think they can, because at this point, it's looking like Brentford, who are going to want to get the final win to make it a good season. So I'll say Brentford to win this narrowly, though. Bristol City 1, Brentford 2. And the goal, I think, will be scored for Bristol City by none other than midfielder, that is Zach Viner. And then Brentford hit back to get the 2-1 comeback win away from home. And I think that first goal of the game will be coming from Ivan Toney. I think he probably will look quite menacing in this one. But the winner, ultimately, for Brentford to get their final game of the season and their final victory, I'm going to go for none other than midfielder Josh Da Silva. Alright, now we've got the next matchup this game week between Cardiff City and Rotherham. And on paper, this is very much a comfortable home win. Rotherham, they need to get wins in this game, or a win, to have any chance. But basically, it's very minimal. You got the fight between Rotherham, Sheffield Wednesday, Derby, and maybe even Huddersfield. I'm not sure if they're completely out of it, but I think they might be. So the point is, it's a 3-horse race, really, when you think about it. So Wickham, sorry, you're not going to happen unless there's a miracle. With Cardiff City, though, that is a tough game, I'd say, for Rotherham. So you feel like Rotherham are probably down into League One next season. So I'll say Cardiff City 3, Rotherham 1. The first goal will come from Harry Wilson, who had an absolute stormer of a game last week, and I think he can carry it on. The second goal in the game, I think, will be scored by Rotherham, so they'll just have that little glimmer of hope, but ultimately they have to just have everything go their way. It's not going to happen. The goal will come, though, from Freddie Ladapo, and then Cardiff will get back in front again, just to make sure that Rotherham will be going down. And that goal for the team of Cardiff City will come from the defender, Flint. And then the third goal is not going to come. Or is it? No, it is going to come. 3-1 Cardiff. And that third goal for the Bluebirds, let's say Joe rules. So 3-1 to Cardiff. Okay, next game then. That is between Coventry and Millwall. Now this one is another that you'd say should be quite tight. Coventry have done enough to stay up. Millwall, they did get a very good win last time out, to be fair to them. And I actually did think they were going to, kind of give up on this season. But they did really play well against Bristol City. And, fair enough. They've not had the most glamorous of seasons, Millwall. But they've done enough to have another season in the league. And they'll take that, 62 points from 45 games. Their opponents this weekend, though, I just feel like Coventry, they are lacking that star quality. They've done enough to stay up, fair play to them, because a lot of people doubted them, but I don't think they're going to get anything from this one. With Millwall, they're fairly, stuck in, and they can beat these sides around them, or at least lower in the table. So it's going to be tight, but it's going to be Coventry City 0, Millwall 1. And I think the only goal of the game will be coming from the defender, that is Jake Cooper, number 5, to get their last goal for Millwall. Alright, now we've got the next matchup, and those are between the teams of Nottingham Forest and Preston. Now Preston, they've had an awful season, it's got to be said, but the second half of the season, a little bit better. And Ched Evans has been scoring goals. Earlier on in the season, there was some really good form shown by Scott Sinclair. So, yeah, they've done well considering the position they were in to kind of finish very much mid-table in 13th. And they'll want to end the season once again with another win to make it 4 to end the season. Whereas their opponents this week, Nottingham Forest, they've had a pretty, up and down season. A lot of downs, to be fair, under the management of Chris Hughton. But, they were looking like a team really starting to slide down the table. And they've kind of just stopped the rot, really. A lot of draws has been enough for Forest. So they are at home in this one. And I think that they will take that with their advantage. But I'm just going to say the sides cannot be separated. I think Forest are, unfortunately for them, the draw specialists, and we're going to go for it ending Nottingham Forest 0, Preston 0. So goalless in that one. Okay, now it's the game between Derby County and Sheffield Wednesday, and this is massive. This is absolutely ginormous for the Championship relegation scrap, because, you know, these sides know a win and they're up. A win and they're safe. Not win, you're in trouble. Like, Sheffield Wednesday at this point are very much against the odds. 40 points, it's a real struggle, because with Derby on 43 now, Sheffield Wednesday need to win, and they need to, they just need to win. Like, because their goal difference is only just better than Derby's right now, and if they are on 43 each, then you know that Derby will get relegated. So it's so big. And if Derby win, of course, you know, it puts it completely out of question that Sheffield Wednesday will be going down. I mean, Sheffield Wednesday at the start of the season, they had that financial problems, and to be fair, considering the, you know, disadvantages they had, they've done fairly well to kind of peg it back, but it's just been an awful season. They just haven't got the results. So will they get the result here? It could be a big one, and because of the fact that it is going to be played, this one, at Derby County, you'd fancy the team higher up in the table there, wouldn't you? I mean, Rooney needs to get those lads motivated, because recently it's not been good. You know, losses after losses in key games. I'd say that Preston one especially, you know, you'd seen that result and you think Derby are falling apart, and how they managed to fall away from that Swansea game, from that Birmingham game, they've just got to hold on to leads. So it is worrying for Derby. The trend is not good, but they are at home, and Sheffield Wednesday, I suppose, have got more to lose. I say that, no, they've got less to lose. Derby have got more to lose. So I think Derby are going to stay up, but I don't think either side is going to win, unfortunately for them, and quite disappointingly for the neutral. So Derby County 1, Sheffield Wednesday 1, and I actually think that Sheffield Wednesday will take the lead. That's why it will sting the most for the Owls. And that goal for the team is going to come from Callum Patterson, and I think he did score actually in the reverse fixture with Derby. But then Derby will actually get their equaliser, and it will come through Lee Gregory to make it Derby County 1, Sheffield Wednesday 1. And I said that thing about the table calculator, but to be honest, I can't actually remember what I've predicted, so it's probably not going to happen. But what I could do, if I have the time, is put that as the thumbnail of the video. So, you know, check that out if it's there. Right, now the next match to predict is between Bournemouth and Stoke. Now, not too long ago, this was actually a Premier League fixture. I say not too long ago, back in the 17-18 season. But the point is here, this could be quite an interesting game. Bournemouth need to win to try and get higher up in the playoffs. Stoke, they'll probably want to win because they haven't won in ages, and they have been struggling with injuries, a few disciplinary problems here and there, to be fair to them, but they need to score more goals. You know, Coventry game, they managed to score goals and then they lose the game. They just need to be doing better, and I think I had said, you know, they tend to play better at home, but maybe that's not the case anymore. They seem to keep losing leads, but they did get the win earlier on in the season against Derby. Should they do it against Stoke? Probably. And in the game, Bournemouth, I should say. I say probably. Bournemouth are not a bad, not an easy opposition. So I think this is going to be a tight game. Stoke are going to frustrate once again, but Bournemouth, I think, will have enough, especially at home. Bournemouth 2, Stoke 0. I don't think Stoke can score at this point. Bournemouth, to get their goals, though, through, first of all, Danjuma, who's had an absolutely fantastic season. Could he be at the Euros? Maybe. But then the second goal will come from defender that is going by the name of Lloyd Kelly. So Bournemouth 2, Stoke 0. All right, people. We have the next one between the teams of QPR and Luton. Now, QPR and Luton, this is interesting. The reason why it's interesting is because at the end of the day, like, you know, when all's said and done, I think Luton have actually had a fairly good season. I know, I've actually said it because, you know, Watford bias and all that. But they have, like, they've I thought they would struggle. I thought they'd be in a relegation scrap, and they haven't really. I mean, not necessarily that they're going to go anywhere in the Championship. Fair enough. They haven't got the ability in the squad quite to do that. But to stay up for Luton is a success. So fair enough. They've done their what they would have wanted. Whereas their opponents here, I feel like it's the situation where QPR, they have had a great season at times, like little flashes. There was that really good spell they had under Warburton. I think it was the period when they beat us away from home. But then they haven't shown that all season. So, yeah, they'll want to end the season, especially at home, with a win. And I think they will get it, I'd imagine. So, let's say QPR 2, Luton Town 1. And goals, once again, Charlie Austin to get the goal in the back of the net. But the goal for Luton, I think, will come from the player in midfield is Pelly Ruddock. And then lightning strikes twice for the Rangers. And that is another goal for Charlie Austin. All right, now I think we're doing Reading v Huddersfield. I think we missed this one out. The point is, this is a very comfortable looking game for Reading. They want to win. Reading have kind of bottled it at this point. How they didn't get the playoffs, I don't know. They were, top of the league at one point the early part of this season. So it's crazy when you think about it. So they kind of might just want to get their anger out in this game and vent all their frustration about this season. They need to rebuild. They need to rethink. And I don't, think the manager's particularly done badly. He's got a lot of talent and he's managed it well, but they just lack that killing edge. And I'll always remember that Lucas João miss earlier on in the season. That kind of thing you just have to have in the back of the net. But their opponents, Huddersfield, they are pretty much safe. 48 points, 5 apart from Derby. So yeah, they know that they can go here and just have a bit of fun really. But it will be tough with Reading. But I've got a feeling with Reading, they've got nothing to play for. Neither of Huddersfield. So maybe we see a shock result and Reading aren't able to get the 3 points. Reading 1, Huddersfield 1. And the goal for Reading, I think once again, Michael Elise, absolute baller. At times he's been brilliant. He's had a few struggles with, injury, but sometimes when he does play, he just makes everyone watch. He's that kind of player. Huddersfield, though, I think will get the equaliser and take away that clean sheet with a goal from the forward that is doing fairly decent this season, and that is Fraser Campbell. So 1-1 there with Reading's game. All right, 2 more to go. It's Middlesbrough versus Wycombe, the game that we said how it needs to end 13-0. Not being funny, Wycombe fans, but see you next season, in League One, because it's just been crazy. They have got this team spirit. They have got the determination, but not the end product, and you got to feel for them. Borough, they've had a fairly up and down season. There was at one point where we thought they could get the playoffs, but no, it's got to be Middlesbrough win here. Middlesbrough 3, Wycombe 1, and the 3 goals for Middlesbrough, I think, will be spread quite evenly around the team. So, clever distribution from Borough there. So, the first goal, I think, will come from forward Yannick Bolasie. Then the goal will come from the defender, that is Bola. And then the midfielder goal comes from number 3, Marvin Johnson. That's 3-0 to Borough. And the final game of this championship season is between Norwich City and Barnsley. And it is in Yorkshire at Barnsley. Now, what do I think about this? I honestly think that Barnsley, what a season they've had. Everyone would have backed against them doing much this season. I thought they were going to, be near the relegation zone. So, yeah, fair enough. They've proved me wrong, and some. So, it would be a great story if they got into the Premier League through the playoffs. We don't know who they're going to play. It looks like it will most likely be against Brentford. But if they can get a point here and Bournemouth don't, get a way through and don't get anything from the game with whoever they're playing, Stoke City, then they actually can get their game against Swansea. So, yeah, Barnsley have got that motivation. Norwich obviously got the title. Will they be a bit hungover from that? Maybe, but I think Norwich will want to win regardless, and they want to get to 99 points. but I'm going to back a draw once again. I just think both these teams, they've done what they needed to do. Norwich have won the league and got Premier League promotion. Barnsley have got playoffs. It will be a bit of a mix between the two, but still a good game to watch. So Barnsley 2, Norwich City 2. And the first goal, Teemu Pukki. The second goal, Emi Buendia. But then Barnsley with a monumental comeback after goals from Michael Healick and, in midfield, Callum Styles. And that wraps up my predictions for matchday number 46 of the Championship for this season. I hope you have enjoyed all my prediction videos this season. It's been a long journey, but a great journey, obviously, for Watford's sake. But, you know, it's been a few great stories in this Championship season. And unfortunately, unless something crazy happens, I don't think Wickham will be writing another one. But you never know in the Championship. And let's see how the final day pans out. But before I leave you, let me just confirm and correlate with you how I did in my Championship fantasy last week. Now, it's basically not ideal. Game week 41 was our peak. We peaked at that, and then since then we've just kind of fallen down a cliff. 122 points that week. Absolute scenes. We captained Sarr in his brace game against Reading. You love to see it. We had Sema do nothing. All right, don't mind that, because Danjuma goes and gets 24 points the week we bring him in. We had Mark Guay get 12 points. Thank you very much. We had Woodman get 12 points. We had a performance bonus from Healick. We had a 9-pointer from Aarons. We had a 14-pointer from Tony. It was all perfect. And then the game week after that, it was a very unfortunate 60 points. Now, you call that unfortunate. It's probably average. It's bang average. Another captaincy blank, Ivan Toney. Just leave it out. Like, if in doubt, you say Captain Tony, and then he goes and blanks. Brilliant. And then the times that I don't captain Tony, he gets massive hauls. We should have gone with our emergency captain, Danjuma, that week, but no. We finished on 60. The Jeepers Keepers chip was a nightmare because no clean sheets for either of them, but we still got a combined score from both goalies of 20 points, so, you know, not going to complain. The -4, though, wasn't exactly ideal, and 60 points is not great, but it was just about enough to get the green arrow, so you're thinking, all right, not too bad, up to 568 overall rank. But then game week 43 comes along. Okay, all right, another solid score. Not groundbreaking, but 60 points, just above it, 61. Another green arrow, up to 553 rank. We have Backman on the bench. Not too bad, because Woodman got the same score. And you've got Danjuma doing absolute bits as captain, 16 points. And Healick, once again, with a performance bonus. All right, we're looking good. Last few games of the season, we should hopefully do something special. And then the next game week comes along, game week 44, and we get a red arrow. And it's our first red arrow for absolutely ages. I had this amazing run of green arrows, all the way stretching from game week 35 to 43. That is what you could call consistency. But then game week 44 comes along, and it's an awful red arrow. And the thing is, I actually scored more points than the previous green arrows. That's what frustrates me. We got 78. But it should have been better. It could have been better. Sema, captain, against Millwall. That was a bit of a rash decision. But 18 from Sarr. Thank you very much. 16 from Djukovic. Thank you very much. 13 from Healick. A goal for Aarons. 7 for Backman. It was all brilliant. But then still a red arrow. So you hate to see it. Down to 555 overall rank. Game week 45 comes along. Come on, we just got to end it on a high here. So we're going to bring in some big players. Going to get us some big points. What do? We take the -8. Bold, but it could be effective. We bring in Emi Buendia, who's been on flames this season. What does he do? He does absolutely nothing. We captain him. Does nothing. But at least he got a performance bonus. 10 points. Ivan Toney, 12 points. Thank you very much. Teemu Pukki, 11 points. Thank you very much. Christie, 9 points. Performance bonus. This is beautiful stuff. But then the whole rest of the team, not good. And it finishes on 49. Oh, dearie me. We should have played Wilson because, let's be honest, although the Coventry goalie didn't actually keep a clean sheet, he got more points than Backman. So, yeah, nightmare. Absolute nightmare. Sarr didn't play. You just hate to see it. So, with a 49 -8 hit, it's 41 in total. Down to 615 overall rank. And it's a second consecutive red arrow, sorry. So we want to get the green arrow to end the season on a high. We've made some transfers. There's some bold transfers, but hopefully there's some successful ones. So what have we done? As part of another, believe it or not, -8 hit, we've done some juicy changes that we think can get us some very, very solid scores this week. We've stayed with the front three. The fabulous three stay the same. The midfield has changed up a little bit, and the defence has changed a fair bit. So, in midfield, we're going to probably play Ismail Assar, Danjuma, Buendia and Wilson. Now, I mentioned how I think that Callum Styles will score against Norwich. He could do. He easily could do. Now, I've also got Christie playing against Preston this week. I went with a 0-0 in that game, so maybe we will get a clean sheet there, and maybe we will get a goal for Boller against Wickham. But do we play Helik against Norwich? Tough fixture, but it's nice goal potential, as with Styles. And then we've got on the bench Wilson against Millwall. But we got to back Backman. Final game of the season. Hopefully a clean sheet. Hopefully a goal for Ismail Assar back from injury. So yeah, we're going to not change it. I could be here for ages and changing it, but there's no point. I'm just going to stick with it. So Backman in goal. Then we've got Duane Holmes. I think it's Duane. He plays for Reading anyway. Against Huddersfield. Good stuff. Christie against Preston. Nice. Boller, Wickham. Then we've got emergency captain Harry Wilson versus Rotherham. Great fixture. Scored a hat-trick last week. What is there not to like? Ismail Assar, please be back. If he's not, then that's fine, because we've got the reliable defender, Helik, to come in. Danjuma plays against Stoke. Decent. Buendia versus Barnsley. Hopefully some actual goal contributions then, rather than last week. The vice-captain, though, is going on Buendia. Then the next player is Djukovic against Blackburn. Blackburn have been leaky at times this season. We might as well give him a go. Tony, captain. I hope he delivers. Bristol City are leaky under Nigel Pearson. And Pookie against Barnsley. You've got to go with the Norwich lads because they've had a great season. That's why they are the title winners. The bench, Wilson, Helik, Styles and Ostergaard. That is our season done. So let's hope we can finish at least inside the top 600 for the overall rank. We want that green arrow. We want to get that better game week rank. Let's try and get inside the top 1k for the game week rank. But we're currently sitting at an overall point of 2,865. So not too bad. If you've never played Gaffer.io Fantasy Football for the Championship, go check it out next season. It is a great little website, and there's loads of interesting chips to be played that you don't have in normal fantasy football, like the Premier League one and like the other types of fantasy. So you've got loads of ranges of things. You've got like goalkeeper boost. You've got, optimal captain. There's so many great things. But next season, you'll hopefully join on a league. I'll try and remember to create a league. But knowing me, next season and next year, I'll be restricting my content just because I'll have exams on. So yeah, it will be, busy times really. But we'll do what we can next season. And that is our team locked in for game week number 46. Thanks for watching my championship predictions for this game week. And what are we remembering to say? That's right. The song of the week will be in the description.